All right, all right. So, welcome to another one for Al Cuerpo Boxing to the Body. So, let's get with it. Let's talk some boxing. Man, it's been a long time since I've done a video like this, right? Been mad busy. I've already done 2 trips out to Riyadh. It's an interesting experience. Maybe down the road, I'll give more insight on my experiences being in Riyadh because there's a lot of things that Saudi Arabia can improve on. I've had some bad experiences and some good experience, but I think it's not that time yet for me to give a proper review of the current situation. Why? Because I'm biased to the entertainment value of boxing, right? Long story short, I think if you're there for boxing, just be in and out. Be in and out. And I'll go into details about staying in Riyadh in future videos. But for right now, I'd say for the most part, I've been satisfied. I've been pleased. I got to witness, Nakatani versus Logan Hernandez. I was there. That was a good experience. I was there about a couple weeks ago as well. Um, and they're revamping things, so it's a good thing that Riyadh is, man, baby steps. Right now, they're at their infancy, but they've got a long way to go. They got a long way to go, and they're trying to copy kind of like the Bellagio type of theme with a nice fountain-esque. Um, that area isn't opened yet, and I'm referring to the hotel structures. Hopefully, maybe when Canelo fights in September, it'll be updated, and I can stay there. I could stay within Boulevard City complex instead of doing the Airbnb on the outer skirts of it. I wouldn't say outer skirts because even the Airbnb that I've scouted, it's literally a 5-minute walk within Boulevard City and a 10-minute walk to Boulevard World. If you know what I mean, you know what I mean. So that's that. And again, so a quick shout out to myself because today I'm 45. Yeah, man, I'm an 80s cat. 45, February 12th. Um, it's been a long journey, man. It's been a long journey. And I'll say again, one of the reasons why, for me, Bernard Hopkins, B Hop, the alien, is a integral figure for me, is because the guy was still doing it late in the game versus Kovalev, Beirut Shumanov, even though he lost to Joe Smith Jr. Dude, doing it at 50 years old, that's something else, man. As a matter of fact, last night I decided to do like a late night workout. I wouldn't say late night, let's say like around 7 o'clock. And for me, in the last 5 years, I just I can't grind after, let's say, 5 o'clock or maybe 6 o'clock. I can't grind as I used to as when I was a youngie. So normally in my routine workouts, I'm grinding early in the day, around 11 or 12, something like that. You know, um, do your fast carbs, and you're able to grind properly. Okay, but I'm just saying, for me at my age now, I think I've hit the threshold. It's a bit sad, but that's life, man. It is what it is, and you look up to the future generations. I look up to my boy who now I'm gonna start to train. He's at that ripe age, and I let him have his innocence, But but before 7 years of age, I said to myself, I don't want to train my boy just yet. Let him get into the groove. And now he's at that age. He's between 7 and 8, where he's like, okay, I want to get into striking and appreciate combat sports. So now is the time, and I'm happy. My days are over. I've been doing it for a minute too, more than 25 years, man. But it's a bit sad because, as they say, father time. It's all about the heart. Your heart ages. Unfortunately, it ages. Spiritually, I don't know. I mean, everybody's different, right? Each to their own. But I've learned that as I've gotten older, I've had more compassion and empathy for people in general, people around the world, family members, good friends. You tend to give advice, proper advice, and not act like an immature goofball as I did in my youth. So there are obvious benefits as you age with the wisdom, right? So, anyways, I wanted to do this video on the current, again, cruiserweight situation. I don't even remember what's the last video I touched on when doing a video like this. But I want to talk about Opetaia, Benavidez, Zurdo Ramirez, and McKillian, who was recently the new WBC champion with the rematch that he had beaten Badu Jack. And I've done videos on this before. People that know me have had my opinions on the WBC belt. It was like the easiest belt to obtain in the Cruiserweight division, primarily because Badu Jack was the oldest of them all. Badu Jack's younger than me, man. But that would have been the easiest champion to dethrone to claim that WBC strap. And of course, right now, we as fans are learning about the politics worldwide. But I'm going to let you guys take a moment to focus on why Benavidez versus Zurdo Ramirez is an important series, not just in Cruiserweight, but it's important for boxing in general. And you guys know me, I've been calling for this fight for a long time. All right, don't get I would just say, don't get confused into thinking that Opetaia is not important. I mean, for me, Opetaia is the man at Cruiserweight. He's done his part. He already done those 2 bouts with Benavidez. He already got that work in there, right? So that's that. And of course, he's the ring belt champion, guys. Right now, I haven't touched on this in a while because I haven't had a motivation or bias. Maybe, I wouldn't even say preference, because right now, and there's one particular guy that knows what I had said before in the boxing circuit. A fellow young friend, his name is Frank Bay. Go ahead and check out his channel. But I had told him that in 2025, post 2026, that there would be an implosion in boxing, like a reformation in boxing. And it kind of stemmed to Canelo because of the pay grades, the paydays that the Saudis are now jumping into, right? I mean, 150 million is no joke, guys. All right, with Canelo's value, even though he's like at the post tail of his career. I mean, look at Ronaldo. Ronaldo's already post Ronaldo, but he's getting paid mad money, man. Close to 200 million euro in empty stadiums for a 2-year contract. The Saudis don't care. When there's like an objective goal or strategy to bring tourism, entertainment, and sports, you got to invest in it. And right now, Canelo Alvarez was the last guy to stand his ground on that. Before Canelo was Tyson Fury, Joshua, Usyk, and then Canelo. And Canelo, so far, to my knowledge, is the highest paid athlete in boxing from the Saudis. And I mean, no joke, 150 is a lot of money. The last cat that was making that figure in boxing was that Pacquiao, and of course Floyd. Floyd right now is going through some problems, man. I mean, it's a bit messy, and I'll maybe do a video. I'll do videos on that further along. But I've insinuated those type of details or notes as to the world of criticism towards PBC. But that's another video. Right now, I want to talk about Cruiserweight. Why Benavidez and Zurdo Ramirez is an important aspect in boxing. One, to the point, man. Just straight to the bone. It's Mexican boxing, guys. It's Mexican boxing. And I don't understand how some fans, they like to troll the idea like that. That Mexican boxing, or how do they say? Yeah, Mexican boxing is down, right? That's like a theme in the internet or YouTube circuit, that Mexican boxing is down bad or something like that. But realistically, that's more like somewhat of an envious type of trolling. Because, excuse me, right now I'm chugging out a brewski. It's my second one, by the way. It's my birthday. That's how we gotta do it. And I want to give this guys to you because later on I got a lot of friends coming. We're gonna have some nice Mexican meats, some nice Mexican meals for the friends and family. So I'm in a good mood, man. I'm really good right now. In my life in general, I like 45. Yo, baby, 45. Chicago Bulls, MJ. What was it, 95, 96? Even back then, when I was in New York, I was rocking number 45. And New Yorkers like, what's up with that? I'm from Chicago. For you guys that know me, I'm from Chicago. And I saw Jordan play at the United Center when he was number 23. All right? Of course, that was the post 23 after 45. Um, but that's the significance of 45 and today, my birthday. Anyways, I don't want to get off track, but shout out to Chicago, my friends, Chi-Town, right? Times are changing, man. Times are changing. But again, Mexican boxing, Zurdo Ramirez versus um, David Benavidez. Why is that important? Again, it's Mexican boxing, and it's challenges, guys. Right now, David Benavidez knows that he's in a tough spot. But I'm always approaching this optimistically. He's in a tough spot because as of now, that's the highest class that he's fighting at. Ideally, he is a cruiserweight in general, and I'm not gonna knock on the method in which he got there because, as you can see now, guys, and I've been saying it for the longest, and I know the Benavidez family knows me because I've been telling them to go to Riyadh for the longest. It's better for them to do that. Better money for them. Better for their legacy and embrace it, man. As I always said, take that Arab money. And I don't mean that as in a form of disrespect to the Saudis, but the Saudis got to do what they got to do. And to do that, you got to bring in star power. All right? So David Benavidez right now, he's in a good situation because he's going to make a lot of noise. Metrics. Not only just in the metric circuit, but in boxing and world boxing and for the Saudis and for Turki Al-Sheikh. Because Turki Al-Sheikh knows David Benavidez' value. More so because Benavidez has been married to Canelo Alvarez. Hype, right? They understand that. At this point, the Saudis understand that at least. And right now, Turki Al-Sheikh, having met David Benavidez, having met Canelo Alvarez, Turkey's like, wait a minute. There's a big size disparity between the two. I gotta understand boxing. I gotta understand fans. Why were they wanting Benavidez versus Canelo? Because they're different in size. That's the game, man. Divisions, right? And of course, they were saying that Canelo was oh man, it gets redundant. We had already seen that with Golovkin back in the day. And that's why I always say that Canelo Alvarez is in a good position because he's at the tail end post-career and he's making the biggest bank from all the boxers. So as far as criticism, Canelo is at the highest plateau. I don't think he even cares, man, at this point. He couldn't get the Bivol rematch. He's trying to get the Crawford rematch. He's going to get paid another 150 plus because it's a Canelo card event in September. Canelo's in a good spot. As a matter of fact, I'm going to be going again in September because I want to see the card. Rumor is that Navarrete's going to be there. Yo, give me Inoue versus I wouldn't say Bam Rodriguez. That's a bridge too far. But give me Naoya Inoue versus David Picasso, or Inoue versus Brandon Figueroa, who just stopped Nick Ball in the final round. Yo, there's some good options right now in September in Riyadh, Mexico versus the world. Canelo's gonna come back, and that's what I said, man. Yo, Crawford, you gotta come back. State the number that you want. State your value. You said you would come back for 100 million. Now you're saying you won't come back from 100 million. I'm confused, man. You want life-changing legacy money for you and your family. You know that. So one thing I've been insinuating by thought and theory is maybe because the snack game ain't really there as it was before. Shout out and respect to Victor Conte. He ain't here no more. It is what it is. But for those of you that don't get confused, because people know me. Yo, this is elite sport, man. Elite sport all around the world. Olympics, boxing, whatever. Even baseball, for crying out loud, man. Sammy Sosa. What was that other cat? What was that other guy? Oh, I forgot his name. But anyways, you get my point. Everybody's on some sort of gear, and that's good, man. You need recovery drugs on the off season. As you age, you need recovery drugs in general. Recovery is subjective, of course. And you roll the dice. If you get caught, whatever. Caught. I don't even believe in that stuff. Because I think at one point in sports, athletes were drowning at the closest time towards the main event. In any event, that's what athletes were doing back in the day. And little by little it gets watered down, right? Then they focus on the off season. You've got 30-day, 60-day cutoffs. I'm bringing in boxing, by the way. It's not all sports are the same. And that's why they use the term out of competition. Recreational use, exempt use, blah, blah, blah. What do you call it? Therapeutic exempt excuses for whatever, man. Everybody's on some stuff. So my point with Conte is I'm thinking because Conte was the head honcho for how to control the protocols in testing, and he knew the cats at VADA. There's a mad conflict of interest in that time when Conte was around. So what I'm saying is, it's not even about the substances. I don't care about that stuff. I'm just talking about who is pushing the buttons, who's got power on the testing, who can make the phone calls. And I said it before, who's making really the playbook to help Team USA. That's how it is. Hey, I'm an American myself, but I'm not gonna be. I mean, man, nothing is perfect, guys. But what I do know is that given Victor Conte's track record, and shout out to Victor Conte because he was a gangster too. Again, Victor Conte was the guy that said, if you're going to do it, let me help you do it the proper way. That was his own words. I'm paraphrasing, but he literally said that on whatever, 60 Minutes interviews, that 60-minute brand interview. He literally said it like that, guys, literally. Okay? So, in a sport that's non-regulated today, and he's trying to push snack, of course he's going to probably have that same energy till the end, as he did. All right? So now that Conte's not in the picture, could Bud rely, Terrence Crawford, could he rely on the testing in general? Bud might think, damn, you know what? Even though we're all spiced up in this, they might favor Canelo in this with the testing, right? Think about that for a second. So Crawford rather not take that risk. And I'm not even, fans that know me, and I've said on other channels, and most would agree that Crawford did get hurt in that fight. It was like round 9 or something, that one round where Canelo threw like a right hand and it hit Crawford, and Crawford he went off balance. He almost got knocked down. And then Crawford, usually when he gets hurt, you notice he likes to play a poker face and smile back and shave it off. You could tell. Other boxers do that too. But anyways, I think that Crawford at this point, it's like, pay me properly, 100 mil plus, or I'm good. I don't need to. And because also Conte's not involved anymore. Just think about that for a second, guys. That Canelo is not retired. The Saudi testing in general is kind of comedic, you know. That's not a knock on them. I'm just saying, like, the Saudis, they need more experience with random drug testing. They need more experience. They're probably trying to do it correctly, but hey, man, when you're trying to bring tourism and that's the main goal, that's kind of like what they don't want to focus on. Trust me, they don't want to focus on because they don't want a result where fans are booking tickets. They're doing all these bookings. They're gonna fly out there, and the last thing they want is for a cancellation of a fight, and the fans do cancellations last minute. They don't want that, guys. And that even goes for boxing in the last decade and 2 decades. Top Rank, for example. Top Rank Bob Arum was a prime example that he didn't like. The show must go on for Bob Arum. The show must go on. And shout out to Bob Arum for keeping it real. Because Bob Arum knows the testing. Don King 2, back in the day with running, Chavez and Tyson. Who knows, maybe Ali, in the 80s. They all knew that, guys. There was no advanced random testing in the 80s. It's kind of like a turnoff to them. The show must go on, guys. And ironically, the show would go on in the Olympics, and then Olympians get their medals taken away because they failed tests. Gold medals, guys. American, their gold medals taken away. And again, Victor Conte was part of in several scenarios with American Olympians taking their gold medals away. But I ain't gonna be a hater on that because everybody's on some gear, man. Damn, I went off track now. So back to Zurdo and Benavidez. What I like about this is that Benavidez. These are all interchangeable names. And Opetaia, Zurdo, and David, all these guys are so unique that their situations are interchangeable about if you're a fan of either one, I mean, for me, I'm a fan of all three, man. It was boxing, and there's different styles, and they all got different heart. So you gotta be a fan of all three of them, realistically. I guess include McKillian because McKillian dethroned Badu Jack. But David Benavidez is the youngest one of all the cruiserweights going up for this a challenge against Zurdo's belts. Four Zurdo's belts. Okay? So it's his hardest division. He's in there with guys his size, maybe even bigger, right? So that's a good challenge for David, guys. That's a good challenge. And I want to see how David does against Zurdo because I was saying to others, Zurdo's no slouch. He's a Mexican. He comes to fight. Southpaw, hence Zurdo. And he went through fire with he tasted the fire with Bivo, Joe Smith Jr., Dorticos. I mean, he's tasted that fire, guys. At Cruiserweight in particular. And even the fight with Chris Billum Smith, some guys like to say that wasn't the best fight, but nonetheless, he still beat Chris Billum Smith. Look at CBS's face, man. He took damage. So Zurdo's ready for that, guys. I know fans are focusing on the speed that David has, but when you're at this level and you have bigger targets, bigger masses, you got to load up more on shots, man. So it could be, and I'm banking on this, guys. And I hope I'm wrong for David's part, because David has to go the full 12 rounds with Zurdo. But when you're loading up on shots, I think that David is going to load up as hard as he did, even when he was at 168, 175. But when you impact a bigger body that's plus 200 pounds on fight night, it's different, man. In other words, Zurdo Ramirez can take that firepower, guys. Zurdo Ramirez is not a Andrade. Zurdo Ramirez is not a Romo Angulo. Zurdo Ramirez is bigger than Gvozdyk, guys. This is a big guy. It's gonna be challenging. And I think, and I said it before, I've done a video before and I had some good views on it, and everybody knows me on the circuit for it, especially the Spanish channels, that I think it's going to be a good fight. I think there's going to be a series in this fight, win or lose. Let's say Benavidez wins. Let's say he beats Zurdo, and it's a close fight, for example. Who knows? Let's say maybe it's 117 to 111 or 116 to 114 unanimous for Benavidez. Benavidez might have said pre-handed or after, you know what? Zurdo gave me the shot. I want to give him an opportunity for the rematch. They might already have an agreement like that. So that's why I'm saying there's dynamics and variables on why this series makes sense. And again, guys, it's good for Mexican boxing. The Mexican fans are hyped for either one. They're hyped because now he's got to come and challenge Zurdo. Zurdo's he's already solidified his spot at Cruiserweight as a unified champion for Mexican boxing. It's never been done before. So Zurdo Ramirez is there. And now here comes David Benavidez, who's also revered by Mexican boxing fans, mainly because Chavez, the Chavez Sr. has acknowledged Benavidez. Mike Tyson has acknowledged El Monstro Benavidez, the Mexican monster. So Mexican boxing fans know that. But now they're expecting David Benavidez to show up. They're expecting him to perhaps dethrone Zurdo Ramirez. And vice versa for either one. If I'm not mistaken, Zurdo Ramirez comes from the same region as Chavez. They come from the same region, guys. So that's why it's good for boxing. It's going to make really good noise in the circuit. It's going to make a lot of good noise. And that's why I think they're going to have a series or at least a rematch. And so then what about Jay Opetaia, the ring champion right now? Now, Jay Opetaia, let me see if I can revise this properly. Now, Opetaia has been open for anybody for a challenge. That's been Opetaia. He's down for anybody. He's been wanting Zurdo, even before Benavidez was even in the picture. He's been wanting Zurdo Ramirez. Why more? Because Zurdo's Mexican and he brings fans. So shout out to David for acknowledging that. Make sure this thing goes. It froze here. And so Badu Jack was there, but Opetaia, in his mind, probably there's not a lot of money in that fight. So he'd rather talk about Zurdo Ramirez. So you guys are understanding right now the value of Mexican boxing the value of bigger pay grades. And even Eddie Hearn recently acknowledged the Opetaia situation, because Opetaia, if you guys don't know, he's recently signed a new deal with Zuffa Boxing. Obviously, that's not Matchroom. But Eddie Hearn was saying that, Opetaia just didn't sell. He was saying that out of his own words. So think about it, guys. Maybe one of the reasons why we never got Zurdo versus Opetaia is because Golden Boy and Matchroom couldn't really figure out the numbers, guys. That's what it was. They couldn't figure out the numbers. Maybe Opetaia said, okay, he understands it, but he might as well say, yo, I'm here anyways. And vice versa for Zurdo Ramirez. Now, please empathize for Zurdo Ramirez for a second, all right? Really, give him benefit of that right now as far as the business side of it, because I don't think he's the type of guy to really want to duck, to be honest. Because, put it this way, if Zurdo Ramirez really wanted to, there's a history where he didn't have a good, he had a fallout with the Canelo Promotions camp once upon a time that they were helping out Zurdo, and they sparred before. So if Zurdo Ramirez really wanted to, he could have been clout chasing Canelo Alvarez's name too, ever since being at 160, 175. Zurdo Ramirez could have done that, guys. He didn't do that. The one that was doing that was David Benavidez, who more or less is the same size as Zurdo Ramirez on the offseason. Just think about that, guys, for a second here. On why, and I've been saying it for the longest, that PBC were the ones that were hyping David Benavidez to clout chase Canelo Alvarez's name. I mean, it's that blatant. If you guys don't see that. And how do I know that too? Because years prior to David getting hyped up on the PBC island, he was always respectful to the Canelo Alvarez camp. In my theory, I think as PBC, they were saying, hey, you know what, David, you got to call out Canelo's name more. If you really want that fight, you got to call out his name. Maybe be nasty about it. Or they were telling his father to say, hey, you know what? Be nasty with Alvarez, because you know why? Because Alvarez isn't saying good things about you guys, or Alvarez is downplaying you guys. And it might be that they didn't say that out of disrespect. It was the PBC that were brainwashing the Benavidez family in thinking that Alvarez was downplaying them. Okay? Because if you guys know the infamous interview where when Canelo beat Golovkin in the third fight, right? That's where Canelo was downplaying David Benavidez' father and saying he talks too much, crap or mierda. And that's true, because a year prior to that, the Benavidez Sr. wasn't like that. He was actually acknowledging and praising and respecting everything that Canelo did. So what happened in there? Put it this way, Canelo Alvarez, they're so saturated with or Team Canelo Alvarez, they're so saturated with success and prestige, they don't got to worry about Benavidez, because they already did with Triple G. So that's how I know, or I think, that PBC kind of persuaded the Benavidez family that Canelo is downplaying them. I don't think that was the case. And Team Canelo ain't even worried about that stuff, because they're just making so much money. They're in a good spot, in a good position. Would I have liked to see that fight? Of course. Who knows? Maybe by miracle we can see that fight. Maybe they can do a catch weight. We'll see, guys. But at the end of the day, you guys will be happy. The fans win. But again, guys, back to the main point of this video. David Benavidez now is in a difficult situation, in that he has to do a lot of challenging situations. He's got Zurdo Ramirez there. He's got even McKillian. And last but not least, he's got the ring champion, Jai Opetaia, who is really hurting guys too. Okay? So Jai Opetaia is known for doing concussive power. He puts guys in hospitals. What does David Benavidez always say to hype himself up? When he's fighting guys who are not even his own size, he'll say, yo, man, I put guys in hospitals. Hey, okay. So Opetaia is here now. You notice that energy that David isn't really calling much out of Opetaia. I hope David changes that energy. After David, let's assume he does beat Zurdo Ramirez. And let's say by wide unanimous decision, it's expected him to fight, or at least call out, Jai Opetaia for a unification bout. Or who knows, because David right now is married with the WBC at light heavyweight, and he probably had to do an exemption, a petition to fight at Cruiserweight. So who knows, maybe Mauricio Suleiman is saying, David, do us this favor then. If you do get past Benavidez, and there's really no rematch clause, or there's rematch clause flexibility, meaning to try and get out of that, well, then please fight Mikhailjan for the WBC at Cruiserweight. Because I had said long ago that David Benavidez should call out Baru Jack. I've been saying this for the longest, guys. And he missed out on that. But he's in a good situation because he's still going to make good money with Zurdo Ramirez. So again, maybe right now I've been focusing too much on Benavidez versus Opetaia, but then where is Zurdo Ramirez for those that also want to criticize Zurdo? So I'm saying give Zurdo Ramirez benefit of doubt, mainly because of this, guys. We see the certain situation with Golden Boy and Virgil Ortiz. What's the difference? Well, Virgil Ortiz is an American, right? Mexican-American, a Tejano. So his circumstances and metrics are different than Zurdo Ramirez. As a matter of fact, guys, Zurdo Ramirez has like more than 3 million followers on IG. That's a big difference as far as metrics. More than Jai, more than Virgil, and more than David Benavidez. As a matter of fact, I'm willing to bet that Zurdo Ramirez has more followers than all those 3 guys combined. Again, guys, Zurdo Ramirez is already stamped in the cruiserweight history for Mexican boxing, unified. He's the first guy to do it. As a matter of fact, the first guy to be champion at 168. And that's even why I've been wanting for a long time to see if Bivol can beat Zurdo Ramirez again, but at cruiserweight. He's got a shot. He's that good. Bivol can do it. He'll be a little bit bigger too. He ain't got to worry about making 175. Because to me, Bivol, I think his natural walk-around weight is about 200. And he's big. When he's big, by the way, on the off-season. Big guy, athletic, muscular. He's got nice movement. And by the way, even Better Be has entertained Cruiserweight as well in previous interviews. That's why I'm always stoked about Cruiserweight. I think I've talked about Cruiserweight more than anybody because I could see the business there. Everybody's in a win-win situation. You just got to do your part to acknowledge Riyadh's season, make Turkey happy, and just make the fights, But back to Zurdo Ramirez, before I forget here, why you should give him benefit of doubt is because of the Virgil Ortiz situation. Meaning maybe Zurdo's management and team, they don't want to say the wrong thing, right? It may be that Eddie Hearn and again, Oscar De La Hoya, they couldn't agree on the metrics, the numbers. They couldn't agree where to stage it, right? Because on one part, they've got a ring belt champion, but at the same time, Eddie Hearn knows that they're perhaps B-side with traditional meritocracy because Zurdo has 2 belts. So you got to ask yourselves, let's say if Golden Boy and Eddie Hearn had sat down about a year prior, who was the A-side guys? If you guys say Zurdo Ramirez, well then let's say it could have been in Vegas. But let's say Eddie Hearn didn't agree with the negotiations, if there ever was some in that, right? Let's say there was never any initiative from either two. So Golden Boy's got good options, and you've seen Oscar with David Benavidez. So Golden Boy, as far as the zone, metrics, extension for Golden Boy promotions, Mexican boxing, they say, you know what? Maybe we can make David Benavidez instead. It makes more sense, right? And again, guys, David Benavidez is a big boy, man. He stood his ground with Vosdik, right? So that's my insights. I think right now Opetaia too, he's gonna make good money with Zuffa Boxing. I hope he's very vocal about his value with Zuffa Boxing. What I think he is. But be careful, man. Be careful because I don't know the pay grades right now when at Zuffa Boxing Riyadh season, if that's gonna be married. Who knows where the venues will be? If they want to maybe do a fight because of fan travel, they might do something in Europe. They might do something back in Australia. This is up to Zuffa Boxing. Or if they want to do something in the United States, where they have to formulate a good card to help the main event, which would be Opetaia. Because right now the main guy that's repping Zuffa Boxing is Jai Opetaia, ring belt champion, who's backed by Turkey Al-Sheikh. I should say he's backed by Ring Magazine in general, right? That prestige. So I'm stoked, guys. I think you fans are gonna win. I think you guys are gonna be very entertained with Benavidez versus Zurdo Ramirez. You're gonna be very entertained. In that, at the end of the day, you're gonna be, damn, you know what? We gotta see these two run it back. And then you guys will you will slow your energy and say, you know what? Yeah, maybe Cuerpo was right. Maybe that's why the Opetaia fight can't happen. By the way, in the meantime, by the end of the year, if everything goes well, Opetaia can unify with McKillian. And I think Opetaia stops McKillian in less than 5, man. That's how good Opetaia is. He's in motion, you know? Different fighter. I mean, it would be a. Hey, man, who knows? It might be a mad upset if McKillian got lucky and did like a Gabe Rosado on Beck the Bully. Something like that. That would be disastrous, guys. But sorry, that's no disrespect to McKillian by saying it'd be a disaster, but I think you guys know what I mean. In the meantime, if that were to happen, you got Zurdo and Benavidez doing their own series, right? So that's what I got, guys. Just remember that last but not least, there were no offers ever sent that we know of on the public domain. If Eddie Hearn really wanted Zurdo Ramirez or vice versa, Zurdo really wanted Jay Opetaia from the promoter's world, we would have at least seen some offers, man. You know, we see offers and numbers when it comes to Virgil Ortiz, Boots, Lopez, Devin Haney. We know numbers from Crawford. We know numbers from Canelo Alvarez. So we know the numbers, right? Eubank and Conor Bennett. We know the numbers. But when it comes to Matchroom versus Golden Boy and the pre-work for Opetaia versus Zurdo, guys, there's no fine numbers publicly. So that's why you got to give benefit of doubt to all the sides that maybe they couldn't see the metrics. Unfortunately, it sucks. They couldn't see the metrics, and unfortunately, they couldn't optimistically see good results with Opetaia because Zurdo Ramirez, he's got the Mexican fan base, so Zurdo will be fine no matter what. Or I should say, Zurdo with Benavidez is actually good because it's Mexico versus Mexico, right? In theory. You know, so I think it's gonna be a good year. That's what I got right now on those triad of names, and that's no disrespect to McKillian, but McKillian, let's see what he wants. I think he's waiting for unification against Opetaia, maybe another stay busy fight. I mean, he's got to hold that belt, or whoever is the new to hold the WBC belt will unify with either any of those names, Opetaia, Zurdo, or David Benavidez. But right now, for me, the guy that's got the most to prove is David Benavidez, and that's good for boxing. That's good for Benavidez fans to see if David could really hold himself at cruiserweight. Because I think Zurdo can. He's been there. He's battle tested, man. Zurdo's ready for anybody. And of course, last but not least, the ring belt champion, the guy, the main dude at cruiserweight, who's Jai Opetaia with that Samoan warrior blood. He's ready for anybody too. So this is really, I think right now, if anything, let me just say that I think for me, Zurdo Ramirez probably has the best, he's probably had the best body work in cruiserweight. Just by volume and stats alone, he's probably got the best body work. So watch out for Zurdo Ramirez, man. He a big guy, man. He a big guy. So anyways, that's my closing for cruiserweight and knowing how to give benefit of doubt to whoever. Benavidez, Zurdo, and Jay Opetaia. Jay Opetaia right now with Super Boxing. Let's see it grow. Let's see what they can do for Jay Opetaia. Let's see if they do unify by the end of the year. Let's see. Again, Opetaia's got good options. Opetaia can also go to heavyweight. Good options, guys. I always said this. You guys know me. When I see physiques and I know what guys are doing and draining to make the lower weights, I always say, don't worry, guys. They can do stuff northbound. They can go upwards. As Zurdo did from 168. As David's doing now from 168. And as Opetaia can do from cruiser to heavyweight. So we're all good. And again, expect Bivol also. We can go to cruiser. Bet to Beef can also go to cruiser. It all depends on the pay grade, what's being offered from the Saudis. And right now, again, guys, Saudis, they've got the unlimited resources to bring better fights for us fans. But that's what I got, guys. Shout out to me, 45, baby. It's been a long journey. But this is Al Cuerpo Boxing to the Body. And I'll catch you guys on another one. Peace.